fossil fuels. This is important, especially given the high levels of inequality, unemployment, and developmental needs across our continent, particularly among women and the youth. Furthermore, we need to send a clear signal that implementation and ambition apply equally to mitigation, adaptation, and support. On the United Nations Human Rights Council resolution on Palestinian territories, Cabinet welcomed the adoption of the United Nations Human Rights Council resolution on the ensuring respect for international human rights law and international humanitarian law in the Palestinian territories, including East Jerusalem and in Israel. The resolution further called for the urgent establishment of an independent international commission of inquiry to investigate all alleged violations of human rights. Cabinet emphasized the importance of a just and lasting solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict based on the existence of the two states. On Cabinet decisions, Cabinet approved the extension of the national state of disaster on COVID-19 until 15th July 2021. The extension is in terms of Section 27, subsection 5, subsection C of the Disaster Management Act of 2002, Act number 57. The extension enables the country to continue with the non-pharmaceutical interventions against COVID-19 whilst also vaccinating the population for herd immunity. On progress reports on the implementation of the medium-term strategic framework, Cabinet approved the performance reports on the implementation of the MTSF 2019-2024 that have been compiled by the Department of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation. COVID-19 pandemic has impacted on the implementation of the MTSF. A number of targets within the priority areas have remained on course for the period under review, whilst there is a notable delay on some of the performance targets, some due to budget reprioritization to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic. The performance reports will be released to the public, and cluster ministers will hold separate media briefings to unpack both the successes and interventions underway to improve the performance against the MTSF targets. And Cabinet approved the framework document on South Africa's national interest in its engagement with both domestic and international issues. The framework document draws from the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa of 1996 and the NDP. The document outlines, amongst others, the country's position on its national sovereignty and constitutional order, safety and well-being of its citizens, its economic prosperity, and the country's approach in building a better Africa and a better world. The document will be made available to the public through the government website and that of the Department of International Relations and Cooperation. In terms of upcoming events, there's a G7 Leaders Summit. Cabinet is confident that South Africa's participation at the G7 Leaders Summit in the United Kingdom from 11th to 13th June 2021, led by His Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa, is an opportunity to champion a number of pressing issues for our country and the continent. Gatherings such as the G7 Leaders Summit are important opportunities for South Africa to promote its view of a fairer and more peaceful world. South Africa will highlight the socio-economic devastation wrought by the pandemic and will also profile how we are emerging from this devastation due to our prudent fiscal and social policies. South Africa will also use the G7 Leaders Summit to further lobby for a temporary waiver of the agreement on trade-related aspects of the intellectual property rights at the World Trade Organization to ensure equitable access to COVID-19 vaccines. This will enable the countries to manufacture their own vaccines and pave the way for the development of a local pharmaceutical manufacturing industry in our country and on the continent. And Cabinet would like to extend its congratulations to Mr. Pitso Mosimane, Coach Pitso, for flying the South African flag high by leading the continent's top football club, Al Ahly of Egypt, to victory in the African Super Cup, though we would have preferred Sundowns to win. But Coach Pitso is carrying the flag very high of the country. And his fourth title with Al Ahly since joining the soccer club based in Cairo, Egypt, just 6 months ago. On condolences, Cabinet would like to express its condolences to the family and friends of Mr. MacDonald Dodana Matunjo, the actor best known for his role in Home Affairs, Generations, Soul City, Ntsika, and Bones of Bones. And also to the family and friends of Mr. Mabi Gabriel Tobejane, who was one of the country's most acclaimed jazz musicians. And also to the family and friends of Mr. Ben Kruger, the veteran actor, writer, and producer best known for his role in Benelanders. and also to the family and friends of Ms. Charlene Sati Richards, the accomplished actress best known for her role in the 1988 film Fela Second and for roles in Egoli, Place of Gold, and Sevenderland, and also to the family and friends of and comrades of Ms. Ayevitri Kizagina, who served on many structures during her time fighting the apartheid regime, including serving in the Port Elizabeth Black Civic Organization, and a former member of the First Democratic Parliament of the Republic of South Africa in 1994 to 1999. On appointments, and it must be repeated that all appointments are subjected to the verification of qualifications and the relevant clearances. We'd like to announce the appointment of Mr. Nhlanhla Michael Mabaso as Deputy Director General, Information Services at the Department of Home Affairs. Also, the appointment of members of the Independent Regulatory Board for auditors for 5 years. They are Mr. Fulvio Tonelli, Ms. Ruth Benjamin Soiles, Ms. Tabiso Kutumela, Ms. Nalin Maharaj, Mr. Prostas Pili, Ms. Zine Mshengu, Mr. Eugene Zungu, Ms. Chuma Mjali, Mr. Richard Hawkins, and Ms. Nadine Fordhorn. And the President has also appointed Mr. Hlengani Matebula as the Chairperson of the Board of Directors of the Media Development and Diversity Agency, MDDA. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister. I think I will entertain some questions. I think you're still fine with time, Minister. Just one round. Who's taking us?
I will do. Thanks, Lizzie.
Uh-huh.
There are two questions here, and the first question is from Chando Mayako from Presidency. Then the question is, on the new IFBA board, what would be the role of caretakers, non-political board, and Roy Anderson in the new board? Do their roles fall away now that a permanent board has been appointed? And the last two questions for now is from Terence Kramer from Engineering News. And his first question is, how much capacity does Cabinet expect the reform allowing municipalities to build or contract for alternative electricity capacity to add to the grid, and by when? And his last question is, did Cabinet discuss the call to alleviate the electricity crisis by lifting the license exemption cap on self-generation or distributed generation plants from 1 megawatt to 50 megawatts rather than the 10 megawatts proposed by DMRE in draft amendment to the Electricity Regulation Act? Thanks, Digital Economy.
Thank you, Minister. Wanted to interview you afterwards.
Thank you for the questions. The new board of IRBA take over the responsibilities that were being executed by the caretakers, and that they are a fully fledged board, fully mandated for their work. In terms of the capacity to build or contract for municipalities, it's whatever in terms of the work that is being done, it's what they have the capacity to acquire and to build, if they can build within the provisions that enables them to participate. And we are all aware that the President announced during the SONA the lifting of the cap from 1 megawatt to 10 megawatts. And of course, discussions remain underway around the move to additional megawatts that may be available or what will be possible. They cannot confirm or talk on the issue of the lifting to 50 megawatts. What about 100 megawatts? Because it's not the only proposal around 50 megawatts. There's also proposal around 50. It's not the 50 megawatts demand or request is not only the only one on the table. There's also demand for 100 megawatts to say what could make an impact. Because if you do, for example, lift the cap from 10 megawatts, if it's possible to 100 megawatts and you get 100 companies doing their own, you'll get 10,000 megawatts in one go. So those discussions continue to be to go on. And the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy are considering the option and what is in the best interest of the country to alleviate the issues of food, energy security and the pressures of load shedding, which is impacting negatively on the economic development of the country. Thank you. Just one thing I need to explain. When the acting Minister of Health was announced, the country went into a discussion of why Deputy Minister is not appointed as acting minister. Deputy ministers are not members of the cabinet. They are appointed to assist ministers where they are delegated. They are members of the national executive. And therefore, when a vacancy arises at the level of a cabinet member, and only another cabinet member will act in that position until such time the president makes a decision of appointing a replacement, and he can replace from a member of the public if he still has the provision of the two slots, or members of parliament, or a deputy minister. But that prerogative remains of the president. But deputy minister, in terms of the constitution, I think it's section 93 of the constitution, they cannot act as ministers. And we should, I think in the year where our constitution celebrates 25 years of existence, we should then find more detail and start to understand what our constitution provides for. So it's not a reflection on the capacities of the deputy ministers, where acting ministers are appointed from the pool of members of the cabinet. It's just that they are not members of the cabinet. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm certain there aren't more questions, and we will then adjourn, Minister, and thank you very much.
Well, that's the clarification that we all needed. Minister in the Presidency, Khumbudzo Ntshavheni, they're saying that when a vacancy arises in the cabinet, the president can only appoint from the cabinet or make a proper full appointment, and this is as per the constitution. Let's take you now live to the Africa CDC weekly briefing. Remember, it's every Thursday.
What will be the Africa CDC's advice